my God, got to pay the rent. Hey, it's rent day, 1st of February. I just noticed I haven't paid my rent yet. 1st of February of 2024. I'm Rudy Maxa. I'm a travel journalist and broadcaster. Nice to have you in the house. The guy in the other zipper shirt on my other side is Tommy Danielsen. He's an expert on frequent flyer miles and hotel bonus points and every airline schedule, train schedule, and rent-a-car contract in the world. And we love meeting with you here on both YouTube and Facebook for our Frequent Traveler University discussion this week of travel happenings. And it's amazing that every week there's so much news in travel to me. Of course, I'm a Washington Post reporter, and I couldn't believe every day there was enough news to fill a newspaper. But there is. So we've got a lot of items we're going to work through as quickly as we can. Tommy, you want to start with what's going on at a particular Hyatt hotel?
Well, it's not a particular Hyatt hotel, but the cool kids today, they have something called a Tic Tac. That's what Ted Cruz called it on C-SPAN yesterday. TikTok has some interesting content for old people as well every once in a while. And I'm just going to actually share the video with this girl named Melv Cookie is her name. And she has worked for many, many years at various hotels. She's worked at Hilton's, she's worked at Hyatt's, and also at Marriott. So as, like a front desk person and whatnot. And it's an interesting thing. It's about people who complain a lot. And you were talking about the Loyalty Lobby earlier as a website that writes about hotels and stuff like that primarily. And they've got a guy in there who is like the master of complaining about everything he calls it the Compensation Friday or something like that, where he's angling after that. Well, according to this girl, there are ways for them to take a look. Are you a repeat offender? Are you a person that complains about everything at hotels? They will know. So let's just let me get her up on the screen here, lady Melvin's Cookies or whatever her name is, and then we can see what she has to say. This is the video right here. Let's see if we can hear it. I'll put my microphone close to my speaker here because this is not something we've done before. So let's hear what she has to say. Here it is.
Geez, can't hear her. Can't hear her, unfortunately.
Not at all?
Nope. Nothing. Little blurbs now and then, but nothing. Nope. Can't hear a thing, Tommy. That's weird.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How come we can't hear her? Is your volume up on your on her thing? No. Not working.
Okay.
That's all right. Can you summarize it?
It's so loud in here, I can't even hear myself.
It is weird that we can't hear it. If you can hear it, I don't know why we can't hear it on your microphone. But...
Well, it's funny because you hear my microphone, and let me stop her so we can see. But
yeah, and you want to summarize it for us?
Saying here, let me stop her. So pretty much what she's saying is that she worked at the lobby, and there are various programs that these hotels have available for themselves. And on the top tab of this check-in program, you have the profile where you could put notes about various guests. And what she said as an example, not everybody, but there are top-tier member. There's a top-tier member of a program. She didn't notice he said if it was Hyatt or Hilton, but I assume it's one or the other. And every time he checked in, it was his anniversary. And she made a big stink about you. Why could you give me a normal room when you know it's my anniversary? So it's such an important repeat guest. And he demanded an upgrade and a bottle of wine and an apology and all sorts of stuff. But here's the thing, though. He stayed at a hotel a lot. And the dates varied, but it was always his anniversary. So
he played his card too many times. Yeah.
Pretty much. So there are, if you are complaining a lot, there is an easy look up for both Hilton and Hyatt, and where you can go in and you can see what the guest has asked for in compensation, or if he asks for compensation, or things like that. So they will go in, and in extreme cases, they will contact World of Hyatt or Hilton Honors to get the accounts banned. And say that, and also she says that she's had various customers that the hotels have said, there are a lot of hotels in this town, and I think that, our relationship is not beneficial to us. So we would prefer it that you go and stay somewhere else.
So play the honeymoon card, the anniversary card, the birthday card, with
complaining about everything and asking
or stop complaining about everything, trying to get more points or bucks off the room or an upgrade, because it's cumulative, and these hotels now have enough software, sufficient software that can tell when you're checking in that you're one of those guys. And that's the moral here, I think, of the woman who we can't hear talking right now says. So.
Right. Pretty much. Well, I also think that it'll take a lot. How often do you get compensation from a hotel?
Me? Well, yeah. I can't remember. I've rarely asked for it. I usually, if I'm not happy with it, I say something there, but I don't complain ever much. I'm not a cranky guy. Yeah.
Right. So I'm trying to think. The last time I asked for compensation, or the last time I made a stink about something, was at the Anchorage Airport Courtyard Hotel, where every single shuttle known to mankind drove by when I needed to get picked up. It was me and Melinda and Melinda's mom, and they'd never showed up. And
they passed by you, or they never showed
up?
No,
they didn't come at all. I mean, the Hyatt Place was like 4 times, and I if I'd known that the Hyatt Place, which is downtown Anchorage, had a shuttle, I would have, of course, stayed at the Hyatt Place. But the Courtyard was the closest one. It's like 2 miles away. And it just never showed up, and we called, and they didn't show up either. So lastly, I said, look, lady, we've been here 45 minutes. I'm going to get in the cabin, and you're going to pay the bill. And I did. I got to the hotel, and I said, hey, thank you for appreciate it. Here's the receipt, and we got the money back. So
okay,
it was, and I wouldn't call it. I didn't ask for points or anything like that. I just wanted to get things right. So because I'd flown from Oslo to London, from London to Seattle, and then met up with Melinda and Marilyn there, and then flown up to Anchorage. So I wasn't the most pleasant guy known to mankind.
Right, you're a tired pup. Do you want to take her off your screen now?
I will take her off, because now we're going to talk about EasyJet, and this is a story.
Wait. Before we go to EasyJet, while we're on this theme, can we do the American thing real fast? Can I do that?
American about what?
This couple filed a class action suit against American Airlines for terminating their AAdvantage accounts that had over 1 million miles in it. And it's a big lawsuit. It's a class action suit. And as you said, Artie, Gary Leff has commented on the fact that apparently in Americans' rule book, you can't file, you agree when you sign up, you can't file any class action suits. But basically what American did was they noticed that this couple garnered most of their 1 million miles, or however many they had, by applying for multiple American Airlines, Citibank credit cards rather than flying the airline. And they didn't like that, so they evaporated their miles, and the couple's now filing suit. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this because I don't know the legalities of this. I know you don't either, Tommy, but it's interesting that somebody would think, okay, let me just apply for a dozen credit cards on American. The couple says in their lawsuit that they just kept getting these offers from American to apply for another card. So they kept applying for cards using their real name, their real social security number, and they kept getting them. And at some point, American noticed that they had a whole, over 1 million miles, but they hadn't really flown much, and they didn't like that. So anyway, just something to think about. Keep in mind, we'll watch it with interest and let you know what happens.
Right. So American hasn't officially said very much. What has been said is that this is you can blame the travel hackers for this. It blew up in so many areas of the travel hacking world a few years ago, and the 48th month rule that you can't apply for this card within 48 months after you've done it once. So technically, I don't think that the gals and boys and girls here did anything wrong. But you also have the expectancy of common sense. How many people do you know that signs up 10 times for a credit card for
the same
credit
card. Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Right.
So
I agree.
I don't think that, I think that they, the problem is that American Airlines, they just shuts down account and they don't communicate. They have this AI messages that goes out from a doofus at from a non-existent person that go out, and they don't communicate with them. I think a better course of action, they've already, for these people, would I call them innocent? No, I don't think they knew about the rule where you can only apply once every 48 months. But the system, clearly, it's Citibank's system, clearly didn't catch this. And I would say that the best thing, if I was American Airlines and Citi, I would come to some sort of understanding, and rather than losing a customer for life. We also don't know if this class action is, if they're telling the truth. We have their side of the story because American and Citi is not talking. So what we do know is that I have tons of, which I'm not going to show you now, but there are tons of Reddit threads about this, about our friends in the travel hacking world who have strolled down this avenue and got their accounts closed down. Lots of monkey business going on. So so I think that the best, I don't think if the story that they're telling is true, they didn't do anything wrong. I agree with you. I have signed up for multiple credit cards. For example, Virgin Atlantic back in the day, I signed up for that credit card multiple times myself. They had no issues with it. It didn't say anything in the terms and conditions. It doesn't say here that here either. That's just an internal rules that they didn't know about. So if they're telling the truth, Americans should learn from contacting people. Spend some time of doing that. I heard earlier.
Look, we'll give you credit for the miles you flew. We'll give you credit for applying for the business card and
give you for one
non-business card. Thank you very much. We're fine. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, canceled 9 of the 10 cards that they got, or whatever, how many it was.
Take away those miles. Yeah, right.
Exactly. I think that's a much better course of action. But then we saw earlier this week, it was another American Airlines situation where there was, hang on for a second. Never mind. There was something also happened with American earlier this week, which put them in a bad light because they didn't communicate, which, is obviously problematic. But back to happy news. And
my daughter sent me this from London today. You want to explain it? Go ahead. I love it. First of all, I'm a grandfather and my grandchildren live in the UK and I do travel with them. So I guess I'll be allowed back in England, but I think this is a very clever move by EasyJet.
Yeah, I think this is pretty creative.
Great PR. Great PR.
You just sent it to me recently, so I hadn't read the whole article.
Well, I'll tell you. Basically, EasyJet, which is one of probably the largest discount carrier in Europe. I think it's based in Ireland, isn't it, or something? I don't think it's anyway.
That's
whatever.
Ryanair.
Oh, that's Ryanair. So anyway,
these
they're
guys
huge
are based in the UK, and they're third largest.
Thank you very much. I told you he knows everything. They have decided that multi-generation travel is important and that kids, they've got all these surveys that kids love traveling with their grandparents. I'm delighted to hear that as a grandfather. And they're not traveling enough with their grandparents aren't. So they're starting a thing beginning February 1. There's going to be a limited number of seats on flights for, as they call it, grams go free. Grands go free, grandparents go free. And if you're flying with a kid and you're a grandparent, your seat's free, which is great PR, if nothing else. How many seats are going to make available? I don't know. I'm sorry?
I love this promo.
Yeah, now they're not going to fly everywhere. I think they said, you've got it in front of you there. I know it's Germany and Spain, I think, or at least 2 of the countries. I don't know if it's every country EasyJet flies to, but it's a very clever gimmick. Great PR for EasyJet. And I was talking to my daughter and she said, this is very important. I mean, it's very important in England that grandparents travel with their kids. And I said, thank goodness I've traveled with your kids. I said to my daughter, or I probably wouldn't be allowed back in the country. Anyway, that's that.
Happy news. And I love promos like this. I think this is amazing.
Yeah, very, very clever.
All right. This is not news. This came out a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
And so Hertz has decided to give up ye old electric car. Well, they are getting, they're reducing the number of electric cars they have in their fleets by 25%. And by the end of this year. And, in reality, in reality, it's, bear in mind, they have 100,000 electric cars and about half of those goes to Uber drivers. who has an agreement where you can rent per week.
Lease a car, yeah, right.
Well, it's not a lease. It's like a rent where they include the miles and they include the whatever, all that kind of stuff. So they're getting rid of it. So we've seen prices down in like sub 20,000, but I'm not interested in chatting about that. But I think that why do you think that they decided?
I think it's because, and I rent from Hertz. I don't have a car in St. Paul, so I often rent a car from Hertz. I have to go to the Minneapolis-St. Paul airport, so I pay that damn airport tax and premium to do it. But there are always plenty of electronic car, EVs there when I go in, and I'm in the President's Circle. Sometimes they're even in the President's Circle. I can rent it for the same price as a gasoline-powered car. I think the problem is people. It's one thing when you're filling up your gas to go back so you don't have to pay, $8 a gallon to Hertz or whatever they charge. It's another thing to find a place to recharge your EV when you're on a business trip or in a hurry to return that EV with a tank that's at least 70% full of energy. Don't you think that's one of the problems is recharging the car?
Yeah, I think that there are multiple issues here. I think that it's very ambitious. When they came out with the news that they were going to acquire a couple of years ago, or 3 years ago, actually, they were going to acquire, because we're right at the time where the lease deals are starting to expire on these cars. And a lot of them I could see they've been rented, because most of the cars that I could find in this area had 80,000 or more miles on it. And worth noting that Tesla's warranty for the Model 3 is 100,000 miles for the battery. For the Model Y, 120,000 miles for the battery. So they're at the end of the warranty. It's not, when a battery goes bad, it doesn't mean that the car shuts, or not, excuse me, when the battery warranty expires, it doesn't mean that the whole car is going to shut down. But the life of these cars, they're fairly new cars, of course, but they've been used a lot. And any car, a gas car or whatever, 80,000 mile as a rent-a-car, I don't know. They were also always discounted a lot because of that. But I think that when they came out with this idea of dumping all those cars, I was literally shocked, because first of all, Tesla was in high demand. We were in the middle of the pandemic, and we had issues with the supply chain and stuff like that. So Tesla didn't have a lot available, right? So and no car brands had a lot available. And also, they have changed the rules for recharging, what you need to do 4 times, and there's no policy that's global, right? At all.
What do you mean? How much you have to bring them back charge?
Correct.
What percentage charge?
Correct.
I didn't know that.
Also,
I didn't know
there's no transparency about what's going on either. We rented a Polestar this weekend, which is Volvo's electric branch, their electric branch this weekend. And if the ladies told me what the current policy is, which I think now is the current policy all over the U.S., you can bring the car back at a minimum of 5 or 10%. I think it's 10%. You bring it back with 10% from full, we will charge you $25. You only give it back, and the charge, regardless how much state of charge you have on your car, is $25, which is, not a gas tank, right?
Right.
So that, to me, is reasonable. The problem is they started, first of all, bring it back at 25%, you won't be charged. That was the first thing that they communicated.
Oh, I didn't remember that. Okay.
Then we went up to Canada, and we rented a Tesla, and we were told that, no, you have to bring it back at 80%.
That's what
if the car was full.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing I heard was you have to bring it back. If it's under 100% when you get the car, you have to bring it back in the current state of charge, or you get a leeway of 10%.
Yeah, the state of charge when you rented it, right?
Correct. So if it was
it's like when you get a Hertz at some remote location, it's only got half a tank of gas. You only have to return it with half a tank of gas, and you won't get charged.
Correct.
More. Right. Okay.
So now it is the following rule: if you want to, you can give the car back and pay $25. It just needs to be over 10% because they might not have chargers on site. So that's why there's a standard rule. So they might have to drive somewhere, and you know, if it's, you know, whatever. So you have two options. You could either pay $25 and forget about it. You drive the car, and we drove the car, and there was no need for us to charge it again. The Polestar has about 265 miles range. It was 90% when we got it, so it was like 230 something miles. We drove it around all week and we gave it back. No problem. It was like 100. It was 150 miles or whatever. Well, actually, you know what? They charged it at the hotel for us overnight, which is free in, I mean, everywhere in California where they offer that. The other option is to bring it back at 90%. And there's I asked the lady, there's a 5% wiggle room. They will get, if you get it at 90 like we did, and you can bring it back at 85, you don't get charged.
Okay. All right.
But it's funny. None of this is on the rent-a-car contract. On the rent-a-car contract, it says $11 per gallon will be charged if you give the car back and it's not full. So there's nowhere on the entire rental agreement does it say that any of the terms and conditions with electric cars. It says bring it back, or there will be a fuel, or there will be a refueling.
Well, that's a variation of the theme I started with by saying it's confusing to bring it back. How full is it? Do I have time to go get it here if I go to that meeting first? I think that's too bad because, you know, I have rented a Polestar. I've rented Teslas at Hertz, and, you know, I sort of like it. But if I know I'm going to be on a tight schedule, I'll just rent a gasoline. I mean, I have one here in Los Angeles right now. I got a gasoline car because I don't know what I'm going to, how much, you know, I rush to the airport. I don't have time to go to a charge station. Okay.
Right.
Got it.
Well, I think that we also rented one in Italy. You and I rented one in Italy. And
that Polestar, yeah, we liked it. Right, yeah.
I think that, like you said, it's one thing is that the confusing for me who owns multiple electrical cars, it's not a challenge to me. I know exactly what to do and how it works. I have accounts, so I can pull up to any charger, Electrify America or EV Go or whatever. I have accounts. I go over, I beep my iPhone, it starts charging. I don't have to sign. Remember, we tried to sign up for an account in Italian for and there was no reception by the charger, so we had to go and we had to come. It was a mess. But
it's amazing we're not still stranded in that little village, I tell you. With the
you know, the girls would have taken care of us if we had gotten stranded there. They liked us a lot, didn't they?
Yeah, she was helpful. There was a woman there who was very helpful.
Right.
Well, but what you're saying is they are still keeping EVs. They're just getting rid of
75%.
Okay.
So
all right. Okay.
It's not going away. It was a big purchase. And I think that here's my advice to people who want to rent an electric car. So there's two things. If you're staying at a hotel, if you're going to LA and you're staying at the Beverly Hilton, or you're staying at whatever, the Waldorf Astoria, you're staying at the LXR, you're staying at the Hyatt or whatever the case may be, and they have a charger at that hotel, then you should have no issue renting a car that is electric, because they will have a so-called level 2 charger, which is the same thing that I have in my garage, meaning that when I plug in one of my cars in the garage, in 5 to 6 hours, they will be full.
Got it. So overnight,
from empty. And you know, that's the thing. And it's completely free. That means that you can drive around. If the Blues has had a charger in their garage,
they do. Yeah.
So you could have rented an EV, and tomorrow morning it would have been full.
The Blues are the house I'm staying in right now, in case you don't recognize the fancy living room here, which isn't my normal background. I'm staying as a guest of Kathy and Andy Blue. Andy Blue just passed away, so I should say a guest of his widow. So anyway, okay, let's move on. What else we got?
We've got Delta has now finally gone to their new million-miler system today.
Oh, that's right. It's February 1. I didn't even look, and I'm a Delta guy. Did they finally posted it?
They have posted it, and
good.
now it's harder, but it's also easier, right? It's used to be this is the program as of last year, what it used to be before, right? 1 million silver medallion, 2 million and 3 million gold, and then platinum at 4, and then 5 million.
Wait a minute, you didn't explain that very clearly. If in the life of flying on Delta, you hit 1 million flying miles, you are silver for life. If you hit 2 million, you're gold for life. If you fly 3 million, blah, blah, et cetera. That's what you're saying.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with your yearly flying. It's your lifetime flying. Right. Okay.
Right. And it used to be that they would count MQM, so medallion qualifying miles earned per year, counted towards that. So there were a lot of other things that counted.
Now it's only
Now,
flying.
pardon?
Now it's only flying.
Now it's only flying. Lifetime flight miles determines
Okay.
your million mile status. But as you can see, you needed 4 million lifetime miles in order to get platinum medallion before. And now you only need 2.
Okay. I'm on my way.
So you are already 1 million, and you're getting close to 2 million.
Yeah, I am.
And I would say platinum medallion it gets you that, what is it called? Elite Plus or whatever with Sky Team. So that's valuable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meaning
okay,
that
good.
Yeah, you get lounge access and things like that.
But did they also announce the part about where if you were in 2023 gold and you have 100,000 extra MQMs, you could trade those in and get up a notch to platinum. Or
I don't
if
know.
you're silver, get up
I
to
don't
gold.
fly Delta too much, but I just picked the news that I found today.
Okay, well, that's supposed to be the big change, and we'll deal with that next time we talk. I'll research it thoroughly. Thank you for reminding me.
The
It's February 1.
requalification this year is going to be tough.
Yes, it is. No question. That's why. Yes, I understand.
All right. And there are people who are very upset today. British Airlines. So I guess, everybody is an expert on during the pandemic. Everybody was an expert in epidemiology. And after now, everybody is an expert on electric cars. And then today, everybody's an is an expert on champagne.
Yeah, British Airways downgrading, huh?
Well, first of all, they're saying they're introducing a new selection of award-winning champagne across the globe for our customers traveling in first.
Okay.
Champagnes have been carefully selected and will be available on a rotational basis on board and in the Concorde room. So the history here is that they've had Laurent Perrier's Grand Cycle as their champagne for ages, as long as I can remember. They had it on board, and they've had it in the Concorde room, the exclusive. You have to be flying in first class. It does not matter if you have top tier status. Gold would be A. You can actually spend your way up and fly more and get to a higher status that gives you access. But Concorde room is for those flying in first class or those who have super high.
That's the airline lounge before you board, right?
Right. And the Laurent Perrier is, it's a respectable champagne, but the first gig introduced today is they're doing La Grande Dame from Veuve Clicquot.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I wouldn't call that a slouch.
No, I wouldn't either. I'm perfectly happy with that.
So for you who are a true expert, and you're sitting now in the house of, God rest his soul, one of the biggest wine experts in the whole wide world, who dedicated his life to wine, which makes it a little bit appropriate and a little bit sad as well. But still, you know a lot more about wine than most people do.
If Anthony Dias Blue, my friend, the dearly recently departed Anthony Dias Blue, was faced with a Grand Dame, he'd be perfectly happy, and so would I. I think British Airways got people will, they'll get over it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that a lot of people are as normal when it comes to wine, and you and I have talked about this many times.
Right.
Price is not always the number one indicator of if the product that you have in front of you is awesome or not.
Exactly.
I think they'll rotate it. So meaning they'll have, like they do, American Airlines also does that in their Chelsea lounge, which is the equivalent across the pond at JFK. But there they've had Doms, they've had Krug, they've had, I think also Cristal has made an appearance every once in a while there. So talking about what's your favorite champagne if we were talking about vintages? Me,
Krug. I don't know vintage, but Krug. I like Krug, Krug from Champagne, obviously. I would like Le Grand Dame. Look, I can tell the difference between a Burgundy and a Bordeaux, and a Chardonnay and a Chenin Blanc, but champagnes. If they're decent champagnes, they're decent champagnes. Right. Some are sweeter than others, some are a little bubblier than others, but other than that, it's hard to get a bad champagne if it's a decent name, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think Le Grand Dame. So Le Grand Dame has been poured in business class on Eva Air for as long as I can remember. Last time I flew with them was in 2019 from Taipei to home here to the Bay Area, and they had Le Grand Dame, and I drank a bottle and I enjoyed it.
Well, buck it up. I haven't flown Thai Airways in a long time, but years ago, I flew first class a few times, and they always served Dom. They say Dom Perignon. Yeah, I don't know if they still do, but they did. Anyway,
I think they do.
British Airways flyers ought to suck it up. They'll be just fine.
Yeah, there are a lot of first class seats on British Airways. There's something to be said for that. And then second, I mean, I'm not a big Veuclicot fan, to be honest with you. It is overpriced and it's overhyped. I completely agree. And I'm also a Laurent Perrier LP. Is usually what gets poured in this house. That's the lowest end champagne, right. With maybe a Nicolas Feuillot or something like that.
Sure,
which
nothing
is
wrong with any of that. Yeah.
But Le Grand Dame is not a bad thing. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully the Kingdom of United Kingdom will survive. And here's a little tidbit that's interesting. Gary broke the news that yesterday. That the American is opening up. They got their 787-9 being delivered now, and the 787-9 is going to be the first airplanes with the doors and their new business class.
Okay.
So it was delayed for quite a while with American. As you can see, it literally is a Thompson seat or whatever. It's not a Thompson seat, but whatever, diamond seat or whatever these are. I can't see whatever it is. Maybe Gary put that in this article, but it's you can see the buttons are kind of the same. It's the same brand of seats, but though people have gotten really kind of into the whole door thing on all these airlines, right. Which you've flown Delta One, you know how those doors work, right?
Yep. Yeah. They're fine.
Yeah, so I mean, you get a little bit more privacy, but anybody that stands up can look right into your seat, right?
Of course, right. So, right. It's not a cabin, right?
Right, but I think that when it comes to American, they're nuking their international first class, and so I thought that they were coming in 2025 with these seats. This is good news, and that means that they're starting to do this on new deliveries, which is great. And so it should be. I'm looking forward to trying it out. I'm not going to be flying to Brisbane anytime soon, for sure. I have no business there, but that's a thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
We lost Rudy, but he's back.
No, I'm here. Did you just lose me?
You were out for a couple of seconds, yeah.
But I'm looking something up on American and their new seats that I flew from from MSP to LA Sunday. Where is it? I kept the email on it so I could tell you exactly what model it was and all that. Why don't you go on to another item, and if I find it, I'll find it. I'm looking through my
Let's do that. So Frontier has been rolling out as the other airlines, American and United and Delta, is kind of now moving towards selling to leisure travelers being the main focus of things. Frontier has moved into selling a business fare that includes a bunch of stuff in the fare, so you don't get nickel and dimed every day. So this is familiar for those who are familiar. I mean, Americans are strange when it comes to getting used to. Most Americans they don't fly overseas, right? What's the number of Americans with a passport? Like 70%,
right?
Doesn't have a passport,
right? Something like that. Yeah, it's always.
Yeah, so there are more Americans that for sure that's a fact that there's more Americans without a passport than with. So in Europe, it's quite common. Ryanair has this, and Norwegian has it. EasyJet has it. They have these business fares. It has nothing to do with business class. It has to do with having a flexible ticket. So these business fares, is what Frontier calls it, will have a carry-on bag for free or included. Premium seat assignment, so it means that you can sit in row one and any seat you would like to sit on the plane. No change or cancellation fees, priority boarding, and a guaranteed overhead bin space, which is a beautiful thing because you can be last to the gate and in first class on the terrible 3 and still not get a room for your bag. Same day confirmed ticket change and higher earnings, 10 miles per dollar spent, which is consistent with standard tickets for non-elite members. Yeah, so I think that this is an interesting gig. Problem with Frontier is that obviously we looked at this last week. Were you on last week or was it Marshall?
I was on.
Yes, so we looked at Frontier last week, and the problem is that they don't have the frequency. So what good is the same day change for free or no change in cancellation fees when you can't when there are no flights to change to?
Right. No, you're absolutely right. You're right. You're right.
All right, little cruise news. A lot of things going. A lot of cruises go. Not a lot of them, but there are a significant amount of cruises that go through the Gulf of Aden and through the Red Sea and stuff. And the Houthis, or whatever they call, have been shooting at the various boats lately with the missiles and stuff. So that has now changed. So they will move some of the ships out of the area, not go through the Panama Canal. Suez Canal.
Suez Canal. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's going to get worse before it gets better. It sounds like.
I would venture into saying that. This one is yours. An ex-Boeing manager will absolutely not fly 737 MAX after the cabin panel blowout.
I didn't want to hear that. Yeah,
is he a nameless person?
Let me find it again. I read it a couple days ago.
Oh, it's that guy who started his little consulting business on safety. Yeah, Ed Pearson. Yeah, I know who this guy is. I think I read his website last week. Let me confirm that. I have some notes about that when we talked about.
Yeah, he's a former senior manager on Boeing's 737 program. And he told the LA Times, "I worked in the factory where they were built, and I saw the pressure employees were under to rush the planes out the door. I tried to get them to shut down before the first crash." And he left Boeing in 2018 and is now executive director at the Foundation for Aviation Safety. And he's expressed concern about why regulators permitted the MAX 9 to return into service last week. So,
right.
So if you had a new car that had a part fall off and you had to pull over the side of the road, and then you went to the shop and the mechanic said, "Hey, I'm finding some other things wrong with it, but here you go, ready to get out on the road," you'd probably have some questions about it. So,
that's an idiotic. This is an idiotic statement from a guy who is obviously trying to milk the situation. I mean, if he this individual, he went to the Naval Academy. He was in flight school. He was in the Navy, and a naval aviator. I assume, a naval air station. He was He was a crisis management officer for the government, and he was in the military until 2011. And in 2011, he was in 2013, and he was a chief staff officer for the Revenue Management Analysis Unit for the Air Force, for the Naval Operations, so not the Air Force. He started working in commercial aviation specialist, program management specialist of fleet services at Boeing from 2008 and to 2010. It looks like a thing. And then he became engineering, operations, and technology senior manager, business operation and test and evaluation for Boeing from 2010. Then he became a Boeing 737 senior manager from 2015 to 2018, where he left Boeing in 2018. And right now he is speaking about it. He's talking about it. He's having podcasts. He's having videos. He's doing all sorts of things, dedicated his life to talking about the 737 MAX.
Okay.
So I will tell him that, what I would say. I'm a Boeing fan. I have a lot of friends that work there, and I love the brand, and I'm supported. I think, buying American is important, and I think that it's a solid brand that got lost. And I would say that, and we've talked about the MAX before, many times, and the patching onto all old airplanes and renewing old airplanes is something that has happened for a long time. We have DC-8s or Boeing 717s or 707s up the road here that has at Beale Air Force Base that are made in the early 60s, the first jets that actually came out that have been retrofitted with new wings, they've been retrofitted with new engines and all sorts of stuff like that. So every once in a while, it's good to come up with a new design. The competitor to the 737 was flew for the first time in 1990 or 1988, the Airbus 320 series. And it's funny because the first airplane before it went into traffic crashed in front, filled with journalists. And it was an Air France plane. They'd just taken delivery of that first plane. I think it was serial number 3 they took delivery of. And it flew at an air show, and they did a flyby, a full airplane. And the pilot made a huge mistake because it's, not the classical way of flying an airplane or a known way to fly it. They made a mistake, and they crashed in the woods, and it burned. And everybody's like, oh, the Airbus 320 is never going to make it. 9 people died, or it was not a good situation. Right. And I remember this. It's like early 90s, right? Or late 80s. I don't remember exactly when it was. A long time ago. But I think that it's safe to say that my conclusion in one sentence, I don't want to go into this again, but the MCAS system had a weakness. They were aware of the weakness, and the problem was that the pilots were not trained. They were trained with iPads, and pilots with little experience or working in questionable airlines. Right. When I say questionable, meaning airlines that probably doesn't have the same safety standards and the regulations that we have in Europe and in North America. Airlines with spotty history in modern aviation, right? Modern aviation, meaning after 2000, right? And the first plane crash should have been enough. The next plane is Max that went down, the Ethiopian flight, was pilot error. They hit a bird, and the pitted tubes didn't work the way that they were supposed to. The readings were wrong. The pilots made a bunch of grave errors before there was an MCAS issue. That plane would have never crashed. I know several people that I know that has flown that scenario, and also not active pilots that have flown that scenario not a single person had issues. And I can say, you sitting in a simulator, yes, a live big simulator, it doesn't matter. That plane shouldn't have crashed. Right. Here, though, what we're moving into here is sloppiness, and there's nothing defending that. That they are not in control of their supplier and quality control is unforgivable. Specifically, when they hired a new CEO to clean up the business, and he is failing. Larry Kellner, as the chairman of the board, failing. They should take their hat and leave, and they need to clean up that company. But saying that the plane is not not safe is absolute BS. And somebody saying that, they don't understand that what the scrutiny that the plane went through before it could fly again. It was grounded for a year before they got to fly it again. They had to fix all of it. And it was the safest plane to the sky. It was here that they forgot to put in some screws. That is unforgivable, but it doesn't make the plane unsafe. Right. That's just BS. I agree. Boeing needs to earn my respect back, and they need to clean it up. And I think that they need to clean it up from the top. They need to. That the guy had a chance. He hasn't cleaned it up. It's been 3 years. Calhoun and also the board needs to take a pass. That's okay.
All right. Can you go to your email right now?
I can in a minute. Let's see. I only have the last thing here.
All right, real short. Mine's real short too, but go ahead.
Yes, I know. I think we talked about this already when it came out last year. They have it on the Airbus Delta's new seat, and this is kind of the new way that United and also has a similar seat. That they're trying to get.
I flew this Sunday from MSP to LAX. First time I've been in it. This is their new first class seat, domestic first class seat. It reclines and it doesn't go into anybody's lap in the back. It's got a hard shell on the back. And so you don't intrude on your fellow passenger behind you. And
so you recline your ass. It's bigger. What are you saying?
Yeah. What it doesn't go flat, but it does go back quite a bit.
When you recline, it goes. You get slid forward like this, right?
Yes.
So your ass.
And I will also say, and I didn't measure it, but it also seems there's a lot less leg room than normal. I mean, I was in the window seat, which I don't normally like to fly, but that's where I was, and getting out to the aisle to use the lavatory or get something in my suitcase was sort of, I said to my fellow passenger who I didn't know, I just said, pretty cramped leg-wise here. And she said, yeah, it was. So, anyway, give it a try. You may see more of these at some point. It was my first one. on the
Yeah,
737.
I think that what they're doing is they are definitely giving up legroom because this is an old jungle trick with the premium economy seats for Air France, among others, has and which is in reality these are the same seats you will find on what's Delta's premium economy called?
Premium economy. I don't
Is
think
what
you'll
it's
find.
called? Wow, that's
Yeah.
very creative.
Yeah, I
So World
don't
Traveler
think you
Plus
will.
is what it's. Yeah.
I don't think you'll find it on premium economy in Delta.
Premium, there's the premium economy is on overseas flights. You have
for international flights. Okay.
Delta
All right.
flights, and then you have premium, and then you have economy plus or whatever it's called, which is just more legroom, and then you have economy, right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So,
all right, there it is.
Yeah, I think that what they're doing, because it doesn't recline into people's space, they are using the opportunity to put the seats further together, because if it doesn't recline, then it's not obtrusive. But the reality, what it does, it moves your ass cushion forward instead. So you recline like that inside of a shell. Right. I do like that they're doing privacy, though. I think that's good.
Yeah, it is more private. You feel a little more private. You're a little distance from the person next to you if you want to be. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right. All right. Last thing I have on, and I like the wording that Matthew Clint came up with today, or a couple of days ago, calling it. He calls calls Turkish airline Turkoflot,
because they still have relations with Aeroflot in Russia.
In this particular, they bought the old Airbus 350s from Aeroflot.
They did.
They did, yes. And the Airbus 350, this is a 350 right here.
Is this because Aeroflot had no place to fly them anymore? Is this since the war started?
I don't know what the dynamics of that was, how the transaction was, but I think the transaction happened before the war.
Okay.
And
Turkish outfitted them?
No, these are the configurations on board these planes, and this is a typical Turkish thing. They do a lot of this when they buy airplanes from stuff, and Turkish product is to me is not really that impressive. They have Doe & Co as the caterer, which is a redeeming factor, but it's not really an airline of my choice for many reasons. But as you can see, it's got doors. It looks very similar to Delta One, doesn't it?
Yep.
As a matter of fact, I think it's the same seat. But I took the name of Turkoflot. So what is the status of and Turkoflot is the name, and I'm not coining it as that. I'm not going to coin it as that as I had it too long in the background here, but with flight radar. But I wanted to. So which countries are still flying into Russia?
Turkey. I presume China. I presume Iraq and Iran. Well, not many, but
right. So let's see here. This is Russian airspace right now, live.
All right.
Etihad is using Russian airspace. Our friends in the Middle East.
Right.
Here they are again.
Yeah.
Air India, Star Alliance member, flying over Russian airspace.
Yeah, Air India. I forgot about India. Right.
And here we go. Russia's favorite airline. They have expanded their Russia business multiple times over since
Turkish Airlines. Yeah,
Turkish Airline is the largest profiteer of war profiteer in the aviation industry.
Yeah, they're definitely happy to have the Russians come to Istanbul. Yep.
Right, and you can see they are. There's some domestic stuff here. If we were to look at the Ural Air, was old. The old. Nordwind is also, that's a Russian airline, but you have all the Chinese guys are obviously flying through here, right?
Yep.
China East and China West and all of those guys, they're flying through the airspace for sure.
Yeah, but look at all the other people. Look at all the other ones who are flying around.
Yeah, all of the ones who are following the rules are kind of south, and the ones who are not are up north. So it's Chinese. Emirates also is definitely on the no list. They don't have that many flights, but I don't see anybody right now. But they do fly. They do. Emirates still operates into.
Money talks.
Yeah. No, I think also, and it's been very quiet. It hasn't really been something we talked about because it's political, right? So it hasn't been something that we've talked about for a while. It hasn't been something that we we have a focus on. I mean, the Biden administration was talking about it last year. If you are flying over Russia, or if you're operating into Russia, if you're a war profiteer, you should not be allowed to fly to the United States and the Europeans were all in on that. I don't know what happened with that. I'm going to look into that until next week because
Turkish is definitely flying into the States.
Turkish is definitely flying here and expanding, and they're the biggest offender for sure. I mean, they made a business out of it. I think that Etihad and Emirates, they fly as they did before, but there we lost Rudy again. Not 100% sure what happened there. We lost him again.
No, I'm here.
You pressed the button. You were gone.
I'm not touching anything.
But it's a beautiful thing because now we're done.
We are. Okay. Let's remind everyone this was recorded, or was done live on February 1st of 2024. So if you're watching a little later on YouTube or on Facebook, keep that in mind, or keep all the information we gave you in mind, that it was current as of February 1st, to the best of our knowledge of 2024. Thank you for joining us at Frequent Traveler University. I'm Rudy Maxa, Tommy Danielsen, saying fly safely, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.